Okay. So let us come to share and share capital. Okay. All of you, or at least some of you, must have come across this word share, and many of you must be wondering what is share capital. So the term share and share capital are used synonymously, means they mean the same thing to people. Okay. And Schedule 3 of the Companies Act provides that a company needs to show for each class of share capital. So what are the different classes of shares also? We will see during this class. Okay. So what does the Schedule 3 provide? That the number and amount of shares authorized by the MOA, and the number and of shares issued, subscribed, and fully paid up, and subscribed but not fully paid up. So all the details are to be shown. Okay. So what is the meaning of issued, subscribed, fully paid up? Also, we'll be doing in the class during the tenure of the class. Okay. So let me first go to this slide, which is the meaning of the word share. Okay. So section 2 subsection 84, it defines a share as a share in the share capital of a company and includes stock. So this definition, which is here in point number 2, so this is the entire definition of share. So it means share as in share capital and also includes stock. So the share capital of a company is divided into small units having a certain face value. Okay. So let's say, let's take an example. Let's say ABC Limited is having a share capital of 40 lakhs. Okay. And the face value of each share is, let's say, 10 rupees. Then the total number of shares that the company is having is 40 lakhs divided by 10. Okay, that is 4 lakh shares which the company is having. And the definition here, it is given: share is a right to participate in the profits made by the company. That means shareholders are basically the owners of the company. Again, that will differ in the classes of share also. And share is a tangible and movable property. Tangible means something that you can see, feel, touch, and it is a movable property. Movable means it can be transferred from one person to another. That means provided it can be transferred as per the notification, restriction, rules, regulation of the articles of association of the company. Okay. So that is the meaning of tangible and movable. That means if today I have, let's say, 100 shares of TCS or Infosys, I can sell them at any point of time. Okay. So when I'm selling them, that is called movable. So it is getting transferred from me to another person. Okay. Then stock. So the definition of share states, if you look back at the definition of share, what was the definition of share here? It is saying that share means share in the share capital of a company and includes stock. Okay. So if this is the definition, then what is a stock? Okay. Stock, I mean, the share includes stock. So if a company aggregates or combines all the fully paid up shares. Okay, so here, before I proceed, let me tell you what is a fully paid up shares. The commerce students out here can understand, or if you have had corporate accounting, can also understand. Okay. But just for the benefit of everybody, let me tell you what is a fully paid up share. So fully paid up shares, supposing I am holding a share of TCS. Let's say I'm holding 10 rupee share, 10 shares of TCS. And total amount that I have to pay to TCS is 800 rupees per share. Okay. And then TCS will ask me at the time of application something, at the time of allotment some amount of that 8,000, then at the time of first call some amount, and final call some amount. So when I have paid the total 8,000 rupees to TCS, then my shares become fully paid up shares. That means I have paid the total amount that is due on me to the company, and my share is called a fully paid up share. Okay. So when the company combines the fully paid up shares of various members as per their request, that means the request of the members, and merges these shares into one fund, okay, then such a fund will be called as a stock. So what is a stock? Stock is nothing but a collection of fully paid up shares, a collection of fully paid up shares. Okay. So originally shares are issued to the shareholders, whereas later on when the shares become fully paid up, they are converted into stock. So that is a major difference between a stock and a share. Stock is never issued to the shareholders. Why? Stock means fully paid up shares. Only fully paid up shares can be converted into stock. Okay. So originally you issue the shares, and when the shares become fully paid up, if the company wants, if and only if the company wants, and if it is prescribed in your articles of association, then these shares can be, this fully paid up shares can be converted into stock. Okay. And but stock is never issued originally to the shareholders. It is always the shares that are issued, and later on they can be, only fully paid up ones can be converted into stocks. Okay. Okay. So that is the meaning of stocks here. Now let's move to kinds of shares. Okay. So in kinds of shares, there are basically two major kind of shares.
Ma'am?
One is, yes,
I'm
yes,
sorry.
dear.
This slide is not clearly visible. Yes, ma'am. That's
Not visible.
yes, ma'am. Not it's clearly very visible edgy, actually. Your screen is visible, but your proper wording not visible.
This slide was visible?
Yes, ma'am. Little better, ma'am, but not fully.
Not
But
clearly,
better.
ma'am. Not clearly.
ठीक है. I will, now that I can't do anything in the middle of the class, but I'll change it when I'm sending it to you people. I'll ensure that, I also don't know why it is. Let me reshare it. Maybe when I reshare it might.
It is little bit blurred, ma'am.
Just a sec. Let me reshare it. Okay. Is it still the same?
Yes, ma'am.
ठीक है. No issues. I'll when I'm sending you people, I'll replace the slides.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Okay. So let's come to, okay, in this slide, basically I have spoken about the different kinds of shares. That is, there are two types of shares, equity share capital and preference share capital. Okay. So first let us understand or define preference share capitals. So preference share capital is an instrument that has certain preferential rights. What is the preferential right? First is preferential right for receiving dividend and preferential right for repayment during the winding up or the closing of the company. Okay. So there are two preferential rights. Commerce students will be knowing all these things. These are basic things they must have studied from +2. But those who are non-commerce students, just write it down. So preference share cap. So there are two types of share capital. One is preference share capital. One is equity share capital. Okay. So what is a preference share capital? The word preference. Preference. So in both the words, share capital remain the same. The difference is equity and preference. So when the word preference ka matlab kya hai? Getting some more leverage over the others. That is the meaning of preference. Okay. So a preference shareholder has got two preferential rights. The word is preferential rights. One is the right to receive dividend. That means when dividend is declared by the company, then it is the preference shareholders who receive the dividend first. Point number one. Then second right is the right for repayment during the winding up of the company or the closing of the company. So when the company goes for a winding up or the company is closed down for any reason, then after paying off all the creditors and outstanding debts and everything, whatever is remaining, when you are paying to your shareholders, then first the payment will be made to the preference shareholders. Okay. So that is because of these two preferential rights, it is they are known as preference shareholders. Okay. Then what is an equity shareholder, or who is an equity shareholder? The Act has said that shares that are not preference shares are called equity shares. Okay? Apart from this, there is no other definition as defined by the Act. So any share which is not which is not a preference share is called as a equity share. Equity shares are also can be classified as plain vanilla shares. Please write it down. Plain vanilla. PLAINVANILLA. Okay, vanilla ice cream you must have eaten. So plain vanilla share, that means same voting right. Or there are certain called as differential equity shares. So differential with respect to dividend or voting rights or otherwise. That is why they are called as differential equity
shares. Can we say ordinary share also?
Yeah, ordinary share is plain vanilla share.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So section 43 of the Act is saying that the share capital of the company is limited by, when a share capital of the company is limited by shares, then basically the shares shall be of two kinds. One is equity share capital. This equity share capital, the people holding the equity share capital, they have voting rights. Okay, voting rights and preference share capitals. Preference share capital already I have told you, because they are having two preferential rights with regards to dividend and repayment at the time of winding up. Okay, but another type of equity share capital, which is equity share capital with differential rights. Please write it down. Equity share capital with differential rights, which is contained under Rule 4 of the company's share capital and dividend rules 2014.
Ma'am, equity share capital with
differential rights. Just a sec, students, 1 sec. Sorry. Okay. Equity share capital with differential rights. Okay. So what are the differential rights? One is condition for the issue of equity shares with differential rights. Then there are you can only issue equity shares with certain differential rights, provided certain conditions have to be fulfilled. Okay, what is that condition? One is The Articles of Association, AOA, has to authorize. Point number 2, the issue of shares is authorized by, such shares has to be authorized by an ordinary resolution which will be passed in the AGM. Okay. Okay. So these are, so point number 1 is it has to be authorized by your Articles of Association. And point number 2 is, if you want to issue equity shares with differential rights, then it has to be also authorized by an ordinary resolution passed at the AGM. Okay. And there are various other conditions also, like the company must not have defaulted in filing the financial statements and annual reports. The company should not be substituting default in payment of declared dividends to the shareholders. So when the company has not defaulted in various parameters, then only they can go ahead for the issue of equity share capital with certain preferential rights. Okay. Okay. So this slide, I have to check why it is coming like this. Now let's come to the kinds of preference shares. Okay. One is cumulative and non-cumulative preference shares. Cumulative preference share refers to, supposing dividend of a company has not been able to pay the dividend for a certain year or for a certain number of years, then cumulative preference shareholders, they have this right to, so in any year the dividend is declared, so they have the right to receive for those years they have not received. Okay, so they will receive in total or cumulatively for all those years in which they had not received the dividend. And non-cumulative means they will not receive dividend for those years. Okay. Participating and non-participating preference shares means participating sub. Usually, preference shareholders do not have just a sex student once. Sorry. They do not have the right to participate in voting, but participating preference shareholders will get this right, whereas non-participating will not. And also redeemable and irredeemable. Redeemable means you can redeem after a certain number of years. Irredeemable means you cannot redeem and take back your money after a certain number of years. Convertible and non-convertible means, convertible means these preference shares can be converted into equity shares. Non-convertible means they cannot be converted into equity shares. Okay. Now, before going into the general principles of allotment, I'll talk about, let me see if that slide is allotment. So before going into the general principles of allotment, let me just run through voting rights for voting rights and variation of shareholders' rights. Okay. So just write it down. Voting rights of members holding equity share capital, voting right of members holding preference share capital, and proportional voting rights. So there are three things that you need to remember. First is voting rights of members holding equity share capital. Okay. So section 43, section 50, subsection 2, section 188, subsection 1, all talk about voting rights of members holding equity share capital. Okay. So they say that every member of a company that is limited by share and all those members who are holding the equity share capital, they have the right to vote on every resolution that is placed before the company. Okay, and how to vote in a yes.
Again, repeat it again, ma'am.
Okay, so let me re-begin. So section 47, subsection 1. Then another section is section 43, section 50, subsection 2, section 188, subsection 1. All of them talk about the different provisions of voting rights for members who are holding equity share capital. And they say, what do all of them say? They say that every person who is holding an equity share capital has the right to vote on every resolution that is placed before the company. Okay, and how to vote? It is, all of you know, yesterday we have done it in the annual general meeting, different patterns of voting. So how to vote, that is different. But every person who is holding a equity share capital has got the right to vote. Another point these sections have said is that the voting right will be in proportion to his share in the paid up equity share capital, his proportion. So supposing I am having 10% paid up share capital, then accordingly when the votes will be casted, so accordingly proportionate amount value of votes I can cast. Okay, so that is also there. Now, second one that I told you was voting right of members holding preference share capital. So first was voting right of members holding equity share capital. Second is voting right of members holding preference share capital. So section 47, subsection 2 says of this act says that every member of a company who is holding a preference share capital will have the right to vote only on resolutions that are placed before the company that directly affect the rights of the preference share holders. Okay, so any resolution which is directly affecting the rights of the preference share holders, they will have the preference shareholders will have a right to vote on such resolutions. Okay. Another time when they get the right to vote is if there is any resolution for the winding up of the company or for the repayment or reduction of the equity or preference share capital, then this preference shareholders get the right to vote in such cases. Okay. Okay. Any questions till now?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
So, take. So, Now let's come to, there are certain exemptions for a private, no, let me not do the exemptions of private company. Okay. Then let me go to the next is, okay, allotment. Okay. So allotment means once you have applied for the shares, okay, then the shares, if the minimum subscription has been received, if the minimum subscription has been received, then the allotment of the shares can be done only when the minimum subscription has been attained. And it has to be done by proper authority, that is the board of directors of the company, or a company or the committee that is authorized to allot the share on behalf of board of directors. And that has to be made within the reasonable time. Allotment has to be absolute and unconditional. Now let's come to this point, absolute and unconditional. So over here, Contract Act comes into play. Okay. Contract Act comes into play. Just a second, students. Okay, so the Contract Act comes into play. How does the Contract Act come into play? See, under all of you have read about the Contract Act, right? So under Contract Act, there is something called offer and acceptance. So when you are applying for the shares of a company, that is actually the offer that you are giving to the company. Okay. And when the company is allotting the shares, then it is the company has accepted your offer. So under acceptance, there is a rule of acceptance, that acceptance has to be absolute and unconditional. So that is why allotment has to be absolute and unconditional. And the fourth point is allotment has to be communicated, because acceptance has to be communicated. So if you are not communicating the allotment of the shares, then it cannot be held as a valid allotment. Okay?
Ma'am, I have one doubt. As you said, offer, as per my understanding, offer will be sent by company, right?
Offer will be
sent by company.
No. That is the difference. Now, if you when the company is inviting the general public to subscribe to its shares, the company is inviting the general public through its prospectus to subscribe to its shares. That is called as invitation. Invitation to offer. If you people have read company's law, then it is called as invitation to offer. Okay?
Okay.
Here, when you or we, the general public, when we apply for the shares, when we are applying for the shares, that is the offer we are making to the company. Okay. And when the company is allotting us the shares, then that is known as their acceptance. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Good.
So allotment has to be communicated, because if allotment is not communicated to the applicants, then it is not a valid allotment. Okay? Understood?
Yes, ma'am. Got it.
These are the statutory provisions. Now, before then I will move to, before I go to buyback of shares, I'll move to calls in advance and other incidental matters. Okay. So, Section 49 as per of the Act is saying that as per Section 49, calls have to be when the shares are partly paid up. That means whole amount of the share due has not been paid. When the shares are partly paid up, the company issuing them can make different calls, asking the shareholders to pay the amount. Okay, that is called as that is called as your call. Okay, and these calls that the company that is going to make, it has to be uniformly made, and there should be no differentiation for different class of shareholders. There has to be uniformity, okay, which is defined under Section 49. Okay, so calls means when the shares are partly paid up, for the remaining amount, the company can call for the payment of the partly paid shares, and that has to be made. Such calls have to be made uniformly. Okay, ऐसा नहीं कि at the whims and fancies of the company they just cannot do like that. Okay, there is something called call in advance. Okay, so Section 50 of a company says that if the articles of the company is authorizing, then they can accept from the members the whole or part of the amount which is remaining unpaid on any shares that the person is holding, even if they have not called for that amount. That is called calls in advance. Okay. Once again, I'll tell you, supposing I am holding a share where the total amount due is 8,000. Till allotment, I have paid 4,000. Another 4,000 is remaining. Okay. So what I can do, I want to pay off that 4,000. Okay. So if the articles authorize, then only the companies can accept from me this remaining part, this remaining unpaid part, which is the 4,000 rupees. Even if the amount has not been called up or the company has not asked the shareholders to pay that much amount. Okay. That is called call in advance. Okay. So Section 51, so 50 is talking about this call in advance. Okay. Section 51 is saying the company, if the company is permitted to pay dividends in proportion to the amount paid on each share. Okay. That also is allowed. So if I am paying more amount, my paid up amount is more, then the more amount of dividend can be paid to me, but that will again depend upon the authorization by the articles. Okay, authorization by the articles. But another point is that you can receive more dividend on your total value of amount paid, but it will not increase your voting rights. Okay? If you have paid advance payment, it will not lead to increase of the voting rights. But delayed payment of call money can decrease your voting rights. So if any person is not, paying the amount of money called for, then it will definitely lead to decreasing of the voting rights. But if you have paid more, it may not lead to increasing of the voting rights. Okay. Another one is shares that are issued at a premium or discount. Okay. So premium means more, discount means less. Okay. Companies that are doing very well, they usually issue the shares at a premium. Okay. So if you look at the IPOs of the different companies. So very recently, many IPOs had come out. So one of the striking IPO, which I hope those who follow the financial markets or those who have interest in financial markets, there is this company called Adani. I think Adani Wilmar had come out with an IPO maybe 6 months or 1 year back. I don't remember exactly when. Okay, so the face value of the share was 10 rupees, but the shares, it was, I think, 150, 60, I don't remember the exact amount. So when a share value is, face value is 10, but when it is, when the company is issuing the shares at a price which is much higher, let's say 150 rupees, kahan 10 rupees ka hai, kahan 150 rupees. So there is a difference of 140 rupees. So this is said to be that the shares are issued at a premium. Okay, that is premium. And if when a company is issuing shares at a premium, then whatever amount, this premium amount that the company is receiving. So let's say I say ABC Limited, they have gone for an IPO, initial public offer, and for a 10 rupee face value share, they are issuing it at 150, 160 rupees. Okay. So that extra amount of, let's say 140 rupees, so that premium that is received of 140 rupees per share has to be transferred to securities premium account. Okay, it has to be kept in securities premium account. Okay, so all the other complications of securities premium account, and this I will not go into detail. Then is shares issued at a discount. So your face value is 10, but the shares are issued at 8 rupees. Okay, so that is called shares issued at a discount. But a company is prohibited from issuing shares at a discount if it does not follow certain provisions as laid down under Section 53 of the Companies Act. Okay, so what is Section 53 of the Companies Act saying? That a company will not issue shares at a discount except as provided under Section 54. Now, Section 54 deals with issue of sweat equity share. What is a sweat equity share also I'll tell you now after some time. And it says that the shares, if any share is issued at a discount or going against the provisions laid down by Section 53, then it will be that kind of issue of shares will be void. Okay, such issue will be void. So usually issue of shares at a discount is not encouraged. Why? Because it shows the weakness of the company. Okay, it does not reflect the financial strength of the company. Okay, so that is why it is most of the time discouraged. Now I told you sweat equity share, which is spoken about in Section 54. Okay, so sweat equity share means equity shares which are issued by a company to its directors or its employees at a discount. Okay, or for consideration, for a consideration which may not be in cash, or for providing, because these directors or members, they're rendering their services or giving some technical know-how or knowledge or intellectual property they have added. So that is why sweat equity shares are issued to such employees or directors, and that is issued at a discount. Okay. But whenever sweat equity share is issued, and usually these shares are issued at discount, so section 54's conditions have to be followed, which is saying that there has to be issue sweat equity shares to the directors or any other members. There has to be a special resolution that has to be passed by the company, and that resolution has to specify the number of the shares that will be issued, what is the current market price, who are the directors or employees to whom it will be issued, and at what price it is going to be issued, and if these shares are to be issued at what is that called, at a
Ma'am,
discount, then yes.
ma'am, sorry for interrupt. The current price it will issue, you decide about how can they calculate that price, current price? I mean, there is a registered valuer, right? They have to take a valuation.
Current price means the current market price they are talking about.
Yes.
Okay. They're
Yes.
talking about the current market price. So basically, the law is saying that when we are issuing sweat equity share, the word sweat equity, sweat means the sweat that comes out of your body. Okay. So this is actually honoring your employees. Okay. The intention is very good, but many a times it has been observed by the company, by the law, that the companies have misused misused the sweat equity share concept. Okay. There have been many cases in this regard, the misuse of sweat equity shares. So that is why 2013 has said that whenever you are issuing the shares, then you have to follow the conditions laid down under section 54. Okay. So where it is, first of all, there has to be a special resolution. Ordinary resolution se bhi nahi hoga. Special resolution hona chahiye.
Yes. Yes,
And the special resolution has to specify the number of shares, what is the current market price, and why current market price is essential, because आपका current market price ये है, आपका face value ये है, आपने इतना discount पे आपने issue किया है. So that will also show the benefit that you are giving to your employees. Supposing आपका face value 10 रुपए है, ठीक है, आपने और आपका करंट मार्केट प्राइस जैसे टीसीएस का ले लीजिए, ठीक है, टीसीएस का शायद 3000 समथिंग होगा या 2900 होगा, फेस वैल्यू है 10 रुपए का, और आप अपने एम्प्लॉइज को इश्यू कर रहे हैं 8 रुपए. सो दे आर गेटिंग शेयर्स एट 8 रुपीज, ठीक है, बट आफ्टर once these shares are allotted to them, what is the actual price that they are getting? It is not 8 rupees. The market price is some 3000 some rupees. So that is why current market price as from the indices you can take it, and that is very, very essential.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That means that the sweat equities company will be issued who are the valuable employees. I think so, because if they are just giving the discount rate and they're just
Yes.
like to promoting and just encouraging that who is the dedicated and fashionable for
Yes,
work,
yes,
right, ma'am?
yes, yes.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
basically
Okay,
it is for people, employees who are like the company has been doing very well, so they can give them as a reward, instead of giving bonus and all, they can give them sweat equity share. There is a director who has brought in an innovation which is very beneficial for the company. Any technical know-how has been produced by a certain employee, which the company has patented and kept it at his as their own, they can be given. Okay.
got
So
it,
for
ma'am.
these
Thank you, ma'am.
people, this sweat equity shares are issued. But there are certain limitations on issuing sweat equity share also. which is there in Rule 8. Okay, Rule 8. I don't remember the subsection of that rule. So a company will not or shall not issue sweat equity share to its employees, directors, and all for more than 15% of the existing paid up equity share capital. Okay, in a year, or shares, the issue value of the rupees is 5 crores, whichever is higher, either 5 crores or your 15% of the existing paid up share capital. दोनों में से जो ज्यादा है, that will be the upper limit of sweat equity share which can be issued by a company. ठीक है? And the company law has also said that if a company is issuing sweat equity share, so it has issued once, it has issued twice, the company shall not exceed 25% of the paid up equity capital of a company. The sweat equity share cannot exceed 25% of the paid up equity share capital. Okay. So at one time when you are issuing, then it cannot be more than 15% or 5 crores, whichever is higher. And the total value of sweat equity shares cannot be more than 25% of the paid up equity capital. Okay? Understood, all of you? And there are other things like lock-in period, like supposing आपको sweat equity share अभी मुझे मेरे कंपनी ने दे दिया, जैसे मिल गया मैं जाके बेच मार्केट में, because 8 रुपए मिल रहा है, whereas market value is 3,500. No, it cannot happen. Okay, so usually there is a lock-in period or a non-transferable period, that is usually 3 years. The date from which allotment is done till you transfer the shares, 3 years you cannot. The lock-in period is of 3 years. Okay? Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts till now, students?
Ma'am, hello, ma'am.
Yes, tell me.
Yes bank रो जो lock-in period अच्छे 3 वर्ष पाएं तेरे ऊपर है.
I'm sorry.
Hello.
Yeah, I could not hear your
Hello?
question. Yeah. Can you repeat your question? मैं बुझी पा लेनी बाबा.
Yes bank रो जो SBI जो lock-in period रखी थी share. Hello.
Yes, bank रो.
से जो चाहेले से को withdraw करी परिबोनी की?
नहीं, yes bank रो case is different dear. ठीक है? Yes bank रो, because of yes bank misutilization of funds, wherein I will not say misutilization of funds, but rather yes bank, the way it gave out loans, okay, to certain categories of people whom RBI had declared as willful defaulters. So their loans became on the verge of very huge and almost on the verge of becoming NPAs, okay, non-performing asset. So there was a moratorium was issued. So that yes bank case is completely different, okay, because the restructuring, restabilization is going on for yes bank, but yes bank has started giving profits again. Okay, so yes bank case is very different from the sweat equity shares. But now it is nothing of that sort. People are buying and selling yes bank shares openly in you can trade with yes bank shares. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So this buyback of share I'll be doing in the next class, but before that I will so we have covered basically what are the different types of shares: equity share, preference shares, types of preference shares, types of equity shares, then sweat equity shares, then call of money, call money and all those things. Okay. So another provision is there with regard to transfer and transmission of securities or shares. Okay. Sorry. So section 56 of the Act is saying that a company will not register a transfer of securities of the company or the interest of the members in the case of a company that has no share capital, unless there is a proper instrument of transfer in a prescribed form, okay, which is duly stamped, dated, executed on behalf of the transferor or the transferee. Okay, so if there is any transfer of shares, then it has to be on proper instruments, date stamped, signed by the transferor and the transferee. Then only the share transfer, security transfer can be done. Okay, so there are just, I'm not, this is just for your, just a second. This is just for little bit of information only. Okay, so there are a lot of provision with regards to transfer of shares, refusal, then it can go to the tribunal, how it is, how it will be done, all those things. There's a lot of implications there. Okay. Another major part before we move to buyback of share is alteration of the share capital. Okay. So whenever a company issues share, so uska pehle to uska pehle, the most important thing is that the amount has to be specified. When I was teaching you MOA, there is this over there I said that capital clause mein your total amount has to be specified. Okay. What is the amount of authorized share capital issued, kab issue karoge, everything has to be specified. Okay. So if you have not specified, then alteration will become little difficult. So here, let me first come to what is authorized capital, what is called up capital. Okay. So authorized capital means the nominal capital or capital which the memorandum of the company has authorized, or that can be the maximum amount of share capital of the company. That is the authorized capital, which is also known as the nominal capital. That is the maximum amount of share capital of which a company can issue or they can raise from the general public, maximum. Okay. Called up means such part of the capital which has been called for payment. So supposing the authorized capital is 100 crores, out of which the company has issued only 10 crores. Okay, so authorized is 100 crores. So the maximum the company can raise is 100 crores. At one time, the company has issued only 10 crores. ठीक है? उस 10 crores में से the company has asked the shareholders to pay only 5 crores. Another 5 crore is still outstanding, which the shareholders will pay. So that amount, that 5 crores which the shareholders have paid is called the that is which the company has asked the shareholders to pay is called the called up capital. Okay. Out of that 5 crores, the shareholders have paid only 4 crores. Okay. So that 4 crores is called the paid up share capital. Once again, I'm telling you, company, the memorandum is saying that, let's say company XYZ, total amount during its lifetime can raise through share capital, be it equity share capital, be it preference share capital, is 100 crores. That is called authorized capital or nominal capital. Okay? Point number 2. So the company has been authorized to that they can raise up till 100 crores. So company can directly go for 100 crores, or the company decided, XYZ decided, that we will issue only 10 crores. Okay? At right now, only 10 crores. 2023 may serve 10 crores. Okay? So that 10 crores becomes the issued capital. Okay? Out of the 10 crores, the company has asked the people to pay only 5 crores. क्योंकि अभी उनको सिर्फ 5 करोड़ का जरूरत है. ठीक है? So when they are calling the people, the shareholders, those who have been allotted the shares to pay the money of 5 crores, that 5 crore is called the capital. ठीक है? And but out of that 5 crores, सब लोग तो पैसा नहीं देंगे. So 4 crores people have paid. ठीक है? So जो 4 crores आया है, that is called the paid up capital. और जो 1 crore नहीं आया है, that is the capital outstanding or the arrears which are outstanding. ठीक है? Understood?
But ma'am, where this kind of transactions is happening? Because when we are buying the shares, there is no provision of to pay half paid or call option. We can call or put options. That is a different thing. That is the option stock.
Okay,
So,
beta, listen. You people are trading in the secondary market. Okay. So अभी जितना भी हमने बात किया, this is for IPO, initial public offer. Okay. जब आप initially company, when they are going for the public offers, उस time पे पहले application देना पड़ता है, then allotment होता है, then first call option आता है, then second call option आता है. ठीक है? That is during your IPOs. लेकिन हम लोग जो शेयर खरीदते हैं, that is already those shares have been issued, fully paid up, and they are being traded. So the people who had purchased, whether that is fully paid up or not, so those people they are selling, and we are rebuying those shares. So that is in the secondary market. Okay. So we will.
Yeah, during IPO, company has some limited price bands. That from this to this, we can apply for IPO, and if company approves, then we get the stocks. But there is no call option during that IPO.
Call option IPO में कैसे होगा बेटा? आपका allotment होने के बाद ही calls आता है. ठीक है? आपका जब allotment हो जाएगा, पहले आप एप्लीकेशन मनी देते हैं. ठीक है? एप्लीकेशन मनी एक सर्टेन, सपोजिंग 10 रुपये उसका फेस वैल्यू है, 2 रुपये एप्लीकेशन मनी हो गया. एप्लीकेशन होने के बाद फिर और 3 रुपये वो लोग मांगेंगे अलॉटमेंट के लिए. सो व्हेन द अलॉटमेंट लेटर कम्स, यू हैव टू पे. ठीक है? अलॉटमेंट हो जाने के बाद यू बिकम ऑफिशियली द शेयर होल्डर्स ऑफ द कंपनी. अभी तक कितना पैसा आपने पे किया? 5 रुपीज पे किया, और 5 रुपीज बाकी है जो कि वो लोग कॉल में मांगते हैं. ठीक है? So that is when you have the experience of purchasing shares in the initial public offer. At that time, you will come to know about all these things.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, students. So we will stop now. We will continue with the share capital tomorrow also.
Ma'am.
Yeah, tell me.
Ma'am, last class 11 तारिख दिन अछि. तो 30 मिनिट पूर्वरु आपण यूनिट 1 to 5 पर्यंत जति क्वेश्चन अछि टिके डाकी देबे.
अच्छा, ठीक है. Okay. Sure, I'll do that.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Good night, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night, ma'am.
Bye-bye.